Hello, I'm Colwell with Chiron Art Therapy. This morning I was thinking about how well art making, art therapy goes with Jungian theory and Jungian therapy or depth therapy. And some of it is because we are in this place right now where there's this incredible tension between the machine of society asking us to work harder, be more productive, be more profitable, and even in how some of popular therapy techniques have gone of only focusing on logic and on what the science can quantify and not taking into account sensory experience, giving emotional experience as much weight and importance, and honoring emotional experience and emotional knowledge as just as important or valid as cognitions and as logic, so that you try to explain it away as irrational or say that because it's irrational it doesn't have importance. But what Jung was trying to tell us basically 100 years ago, and it still is completely true right here in the here and now, is that intuition and the messages from the unconscious bubble up within us and how we experience them. And this is not just in the case of trauma, of experiencing things through our bodies, but the unconscious is experienced through our bodies, through fantasy, through intuition, through fun little synchronicities. It's experienced through dreams and through our own art making images. Images contain an incredible power that is utilizing the parts of our brains that are visual and pre-verbal, which means it goes back to more instinctual parts of ourselves that have powerful drives and has incredible power to make us feel things. So when we're experiencing emotions or physical sensations, but we don't necessarily know what they're connected to from a thought process perspective, it isn't that we need to control it and get rid of it. That cuts ourselves off from enormous parts of how our brain functions and our experience as human beings, and makes us feel at odds with ourselves, where then this part of ourselves that's begging us to pay attention, that's a pre-verbal part of ourselves. So it was formed very early on in our development as individuals, is just feeling like it's being disavowed and devalued and minimized. And the more and more we do that, the bigger and bigger the reactions get. So you're wind up with this tension between, I must not think this is bad, or I must not have this compulsion, or I must not do this thing. And this other piece that's like, please pay attention to me. I desperately need your help. And the more we have a gap of that, the more that tension is going to build. Normally, when people come to me to start working with me, it's because that tension has built to a point where then they're having nightmares or a persistent dream that won't go away, or they're having a series of body symptoms like stomach aches or headaches or tension or inability to concentrate or sleep disturbances, where those parts of ourselves, the unconscious experiencing through the body, is getting louder and louder and louder until the message can't be ignored anymore and something snaps, something breaks through that that locked door and comes to our attention and says, it's time to deal with this. So the process of what we go through is creating some dialogue with our images. We can do this through poetry. We can do this through active imagination, through imagination dialogue, or we can also do this from like just paying attention to how things feel and what they might be like through metaphor. So that's a way too. Dreams are an incredible way to engage with images. And I feel like if you draw them out, you get even more of your body engaged with the interaction. And then you wind up firing up that part of your brain that was trying to speak to begin with. And then once you have that part activated in the safe container of therapy, then we're able to say, oh, this churning going on, it's in a container now. It's like, the emotion in this glass is held and not spilling out all over the place, because the therapy creates the container so that then you're able to do something with it. You're able to look at it. You're able to understand it without feeling like it's flooding you and that it's overwhelming. Another piece of it that I want to add in here is that aligning ourselves with the unconscious, or what Jung called with the spirit of the depths, rather than just following along with the spirit of the times, what's popular, what's trending, what we think society expects of us, what our parents expect of us, blah, 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 is holding on to your vision and to your dream. And it gives you an enormous amount of a sense of personal empowerment. It gives you energy, and it gives you a sense of being aligned with yourself. Me wanting to go in the direction of Jungian psychology or art therapy, and blending of the two it's my unique truth, right? But there's so many barriers against that, you going toward your unique truth and building that belief, that sense of, I'm going to stick with my truth, gives you, it's like the current. Then you're going, you're riding your bike with the wind instead of against the wind, where you're like, oh, this is easy. This feels right. I had a sense of that when I was at the Institute this summer and walked into the archives and realized, wow, this program has an art therapy exam. I would tell people I was an art therapist and they go, oh, that's so cool. We'd talk about the Red Book and Jung's art and Jung's patient's art. And I got to see Barbara Hanna's art and see what an integral piece art therapy was to the beginnings of psychotherapy. That it was in harmony with it, even though I had earlier found barriers to figuring out a way to integrate my practice as an art therapist with other psychological modalities or institutes. And I was even told once, think about how when a door closes, it's the self or the unconscious shifting our focus. That this way is closed because there's another door that's more in harmony with what you're looking for and trusting that. And that's hard because when a door slams in your face, it hurts, right? But looking back on it, I keep on seeing the doors that closed was because I was going to be pouring out my energy into something that wasn't going to build what my work was, because I'd either outgrown it, or that it was no longer going to serve me, or that I just needed to spend my energy in another place. And we only have so much energy. So aligning ourselves with our creative purpose is critical, because the older we get, the less energy we get, maybe. Knock on wood, right? But I definitely can't push things the way I did in my 20s. And I'm not sure we should push things, because that goes back into that productivity all the time mindset. So I want to give one more shout out to the Women's Synergy Collective, that is one of Whitney Freya's brainchilds. It's a great community, and I feel like I get to be my whole self and come with my mind and my heart and my spirit and my creativity and all of its quirkiness into a place where other women entrepreneurs are excited, supportive, and also bring their whole selves. So finding the, the containers that you need to help buoy you up and encourage you to do your work, that's where you need to go. So that one's, I highly recommend. It's really got an attitude of a rising tide raises all ships. And if you're interested in working through a dream with me, or interested in learning more about dreams, I am going to be having a dream group open up soon. And I do one-on-one consultations as well. So check out my link in the bio to get more info. Thanks.